Okay, we've gone live.
Lawyer Kakai Kizinga.
Yes, I can hear you.
I think your audio is okay now.
Yeah, I'm fine now. I think I'm okay.
We can hear you also.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. We're on Facebook, so you need to tag yourselves as well. Once again, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. And this is the second day, the BBI. We're talking about BBI Diaspora, okay? We've been neglected in diaspora and we are crying out. We want to know why. If there's a reason, they should just tell us why and then we'll just be quiet. But before then, we really want to know the reason why as diaspora, we don't really count. And yet in Kenyan development, we are the ones that contribute the most in the development of Kenya in remittance, in terms of remittance. The remittance from diaspora is the biggest remittance compared to every other either organization or scheme is diaspora. But yet when they're making decisions, we are out. We can't vote. We are not allowed to vote. You are not anywhere. So once we know why, then we'll stop shouting. Before then, we'll shout every day. So I'm here today with Ruth Ambogo. I don't know if she'll allow me to say she is or will be a senator of Vihiga very soon. Yes. So we are there for her. Yeah, women power. And we also have Dennis Koskei. Dennis is from France, all the way from France. And we also have Moses Eric Langat, all the way from the UK. And we also have John Kanyaru. Actually, John is a chairman of KDA, Kenya Diaspora Alliance in the UK. And we also have with us today a lawyer, Kakai Kisinga. Actually, Kakai Kisinga was part of the technical expert, the BBI. So welcome everybody, and the floor is opened. So I'm just going to ask each one of you to introduce yourself first, and I'll start with Dennis, please.
Good evening once again, everyone. And thank you, Lydia, for the second time again. You've enabled this platform so that we can talk about issues that touch on our lives here in foreign land the most. And more such on this issue of BBI. My name is Dennis. I live in France, and I'm the Secretary General of Kenyans in France Umbrella Association. This is an association of Kenyans living in France with only one single objective of bringing Kenyans together and helping each other to improve our life here in France. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dennis. Okay, and then I'll go on my left, Moses Eric Langat, please, thank you.
Thank you, Lydia, and you do it very well to pronounce my two names. You can stick to Moses. That will probably be better for you. Yes, it's a pleasure to be here for the second time to join hands with other Kenyans who are mainly in Europe to discuss our thoughts on whether BBI captures the aspirations of the people residing abroad. I am, as you rightly said, in London. I work at the Royal Botanic Gardens in West London, and I'm also a visiting professor at the University of Surrey. I am very far from law, so Ruth and Kakai will be pleased that they will not be up against their learned friend, but I'm a chemist by training, and I represent a big community in Kenya, from Kisumu to Wajir, from Turkana to Mombasa. And today I'm here, and I'm quite pleased that Kakai is here because my main issue will be relating to land And it will be very nice, first of all, to hear from Kakai exactly what BBI says, mainly about the caveating business that goes on in Kenya when we have titled it. So thank you, Lydia. I'm pleased to be here and really looking forward to a robust debate.
All right. Thank you very much. And then I also have John Kanyaru. Please, John Kanyaru, if you can introduce yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia, and everyone else in the panel. My name is John Kanyaru. I live in Slough. My background is I do business in the United Kingdom, and my area is HR. And I am from Kenya, from Nakuru, and I'm very much interested in matters BBI because I'm a Kenyan. So although I live abroad, I have the community, I have the family. So it is a live topic. And that's why even when His Excellency President and Right Honorable came up with this idea, I chaired the committee that was collecting views from Kenyan diaspora in UK. And also I'm the interim chair of Kenya Diaspora Alliance, UK chapter, where I'm deputized by Dr. Moses Langat, and I'm happy to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, John. Okay, now go to our lawyer, Kisinga, please. I always leave the ladies at the end.
I'll be very brief. My name is Kakai Kisinja. I'm a lawyer by profession, and yes, I was part of the people who had been recruited by the task force, the BBI, in terms of piecing the report together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll go to our to-be senator, Ruth Ambogo. I like that name.
Thank you so much, Lydia, once again. Happy to be here. My name is Ruth Ambogo. And I realize in life that as you keep going and you keep unlocking your dreams and ambitions in life, your titles get to change. So as we speak right now, I recently just announced my interest. It's not announcing my campaign for 2022, but announcing my interest for the seat of the senatorial seat for Vihiga County 2022. BBI has come here with some good things for the women, and some of us are saying, let's see how we can take advantage of these positions to be able to bring about change in the society. But over and above that, for those of you who are joining for the first time, I contributed to the BBI via Youth for BBI, which was an initiative that was trying to bring together the views of the young people across the country and presented the same to the task force for consideration. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I even have somebody who is watching from South Sudan already, also diaspora, also angry, also wants to know why we've been neglected as diaspora. But like I always say, and I'll say it again, I'm not a politician and I'm not an expert either. That's why we have the panelists who are experts to explain to us more. So I think right away, I'll just go to last time we were here, Ruth is the one who opened the floor, first of all, to tell us more about BBI, to elaborate it more. And thank you very much, Ruth. Ruth, you did a very good job. So now I'll just go to Kisinga straight up, to our lawyer. I'm not going to wait for any discussion because we need to just hit the nail in the head first before we can move on. So lawyer, we are here as diaspora. Ruth was here last time to actually elaborate more about this BBI because we are not there. We feel like we've been neglected. So because now you are inside the core, it's better if you start explaining to us more about this BBI and why there is no need of diaspora being involved. Thank you.
Thank you for the invite. And Ruth had talked to me almost a week ago about this program that you run. And this evening, when I came in, I was able to watch your last week's discussion.
Okay.
On, I think it was on YouTube or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to it for close to an hour and was able to understand where or what you guys discussed last time. And I think I must thank Ruth because she did a very good thing or introduction, and she zeroed in on what exactly BBI did, what it stood for, and she brought out those issues that have been affecting Kenyans for long with a lot of clarity. But I also noticed that some of you, when you are discussing, you did not understand the document itself. So there were a lot of gaps in what you guys were discussing because BBI was not meant to solve all the problems in Kenya. BBI was just a pickup point from the 2010 Constitution. So I also noticed a bit of difficulties in people understanding what exactly that is there. But I also noticed one person who got it right in terms of pointing out the gaps that BBI probably has and what just BBI said about the Diaspora League. So my point here today is I asked Ruth before I came that what is it that we are going to be discussing? And I think she zeroed into a topic of just how is BBI addressing issues of the diaspora. Mm-hmm. So for me, I would want to go straight into what I think that I lived in the US, and had BBI been out now, if I was in the US, I'll be asking myself, now I'm in Boston, if I want to go back home, what is the environment that BBI is providing for me? What are the benefits that it has in me to go back home? Mm-hmm. And I will zero into only two things I think that matters or that is important to the diaspora people. One is I want to find out that is there room or is BBI giving proper atmosphere and environment for good governance? That will be my first question. My first concern will be, is good governance addressed very well in BBI? My second concern as a diaspora, I will be asking myself whether BBI provides for political stability. Is there political stability through BBI? Now, the third concern will be, what are the opportunities for investment? Is BBI giving me proper opportunities for investment? Is there environment being fostered for investment in Kenya if I want to go back to Kenya, or if I want to continue investing in Kenya despite the fact that I'm living abroad? Number four, I'll want to find out, is BBI giving proper policy or legislative framework that can enable me as a diaspora participate in governance? And finally, is there room for inclusion of the people in the diaspora? Those are the concerns, or those are the things that I want to concern myself as a person living in the diaspora, for example. And now I want to go into trying to attempt to answer what BBI speaks about those things. Now, we have to understand that democracy takes long. Democracy is a long process, and constitution making has its own dynamics. BBI comes after the 2010 Constitution. When we passed the 2010 Constitution, we realized that it did not address all the aspects that probably Kenyans wanted. 2010 Constitution has been subjected to a lot of debate, internal and external, and a lot of gaps have come out of it. There have been checks on that 2010 Constitution, for example, from legislators themselves, Kenyans themselves, and also the judiciary has weighed in on the challenges of 2010 Constitution. But we forget, and we must remind ourselves, that the 2010 Constitution was a compromised constitution. It is a constitution that came in place because of the disputed election that had just taken place prior to that 2010 Constitution. So there were those concerns that Ruth Ambogo talked about that had been ailing Kenya for many years. Those 9 concerns that she talked about: national ethos, responsibility, ethnicity, inclusivity, divisive election, corruption, devolution, and so forth and so on. Those 9 things. Now, compounded with that it was felt that therefore there's need to attempt to amend that constitution. And the only way you can amend that constitution is to go through those 9 ideas that were brought out by the 2 principles. And that's why we say that BBI was anchored on issues of inclusivity and issues of the handshake. Now, to answer now the question, is BBI providing a good environment for good governance? The answer is yes. The answer is that BBI, and I can see the host is laughing already. So just give me time, I go through them, then we can discuss later. So for the diaspora, is BBI giving or fostering a good environment, or is it pushing for good governance? The answer is yes. Why? It's because we are seeing that the 3 arms of government, the judiciary, for example, is being given so much power and responsibility to continue being independent. Because remember, there's no governance or there's no proper democracy that can work when an institution is not independent. So judiciary is independent, and that's no doubt about it. That's why BBI never ventured so much into reducing some powers from the judiciary. Look at the executive and the issues of inclusivity. The issue of winner takes it all has been addressed completely. The mere fact that the president is going to be sharing power with the prime minister and 2 deputy prime ministers, opposition is coming in to check the excesses of executive. You have members of parliament coming from hybrid, coming from inside and coming from outside. It just shows that the question of political inclusivity is being responded to. Is that governance proper? It might not be what you expect, but we are heading somewhere in terms of these reforms that are being instituted. Are there those other government institutions or arms of government that are being forced to be independent? Yes. DPP is now being introduced, and DPP is going to be independent in terms of pushing for issues of corruption. So when you are reading this BBI report, you have to look at the holistic approach. Do not just pick an isolated item alone, but look at how this is knitting up together into a document and into a governance structure. Are we, as people living in the diaspora, can you say that there's political stability for the diaspora people to invest in Kenya? And the answer is yes, there will be political stability.
There will be. Okay, let me stop you there, sir. Let me just go to Langat. If Langat, do you have anything to respond to what lawyer Kisinga have just said? Unmute yourself, please. Unmute yourself.
Thank you, Lawyer Kakai, and we appreciate, of course, BBI. We appreciate the thought by the president to reach out to Raila Amolo Odinga, and we appreciate the fact that the BBI came in to try and address some of the concerns that the Kenyans have had. For me, I've always had an issue with the genuineness of the handshake and coming together, not simply because my name may point me as if I belong to some particular grouping in Kenya. But I've always had my reservation. Ruth laughed at me the other day when I said, I think I will excuse Raila Odinga. And this is what I've said always. The president reached out to Raila Odinga because he was already having a house that was crumbling. He wasn't getting along with his deputy and other things. Of course, people don't want to say this, but I'll say this myself because I've got nothing to lose. So what did the president have to lose reaching out to Raila Odinga? Nothing. So when you talk about good governance, even without BBI, with sincerity and honesty amongst the people who are going to be elected into different positions, the constitution that we have, despite its deficiencies, is already good. Secondly, we have political stability in Kenya. We usually have post-election violences, which of course we may want to blame political leaders, but we need to educate our people. Political violences come out because of serious competition and hyping political temperatures in the country. And well, the politicians have their role. but I don't want to waste a lot of my time discussing this. If BBI is going to try and address what some people perceive as bad governance that was already there, in fact, the worst thing that I want to see, and I haven't watched Kakai's debate about the establishment of the office of the ombudsman. I think what you're just trying to say that the BBI is enabling judiciary to be independent, to me it's false unless you convince me otherwise. What is the role of the ombudsman who is going to be appointed by the president when you want the judiciary to be independent? I think there we just lying to ourselves, and we have not even had this, the way the judiciary is being run in the country for long. We had CJ Mutunga coming in and doing a wonderful job, and Maraga as well coming in to do a wonderful job. And in fact, I usually say that the people around the president, many of them who are very insincere and who think they will be here forever, are the ones who actually saw that there were two problems that the Jubilee government had. One was the DP and the other one was Maraga. And these BBI proposals are just anchored around addressing these two offices. And yes, this is my opinion. I don't want it to be the debate that is going to be here, but that is what I see from the position where I sit. I was actually looking forward to hearing Kakai talk about the opportunities for investment, because this is where I want to be today. In fact, 95% of Kakai's debate was about if we are going back to Kenya. And I'm sure many of us are not going back to Kenya, not because of anything, but because, of course, we are where we are for different reasons. But now I wanted to see the BBI addressing my position of being a Kenyan who is a major entrepreneur, a major investor in Kenya, and ensuring that what I want while I'm here is actually enabled in terms of ease of doing business. And later on, Lydia, I will come up with a discussion that I've had with two entrepreneurs who are based here in the UK, who run big companies in the UK, and they have offices in Kenya. And in fact, the major thing that these people are doing is, instead of going to Nairobi to set up a factory in Nairobi, they've gone to Njoro, they've gone to Nakuru, or instead of one setting up a call center in Nairobi, is gone to set it up in Ravid. Or instead of him having a sales point in Nairobi, is actually having the patience of transferring machinery from Mombasa all the way to Eldoret to be able to create employment for these people. And for me, this is what I want to see in the BBI, and Kakai will agree with me that zero, there's nothing on these areas at all. So I will wait for that point when we will be able to discuss this, but of course I will allow the other panelists to say their things, but I've said what I had to say. And I think I always repeat, we need to amend the BBI to particularly include the aspirations of everyone, including us in the diaspora. I will get an opportunity later to read to Kakai the proposals that we collated here in the UK, which very few of them, particularly those that are pertinent to the people residing abroad, were touched. Of course, we mentioned things of creating the office of the leader of opposition, but of course, everybody else was saying this. But then there are specific and key issues that are touching Kenyans who are residing abroad that we mentioned. We also brought in even a very controversial thing that we had a huge debate here in the UK of rotational presidency. Because for me, rotational presidency in Kenya is actually going to cure good governance, and it's going to bring in inclusivity. So I see a lot of deficiencies in the BBI proposals that, for a good legacy for the president, is still need to allow people to go back and amend it. In fact, there is no point for us to rush this thing. And it doesn't mean that we need to get this thing entrenched now so that we can have somebody becoming a prime minister or a deputy prime minister. We don't need to do that now. We can actually tidy this thing up, even vote a referendum alongside the elections if we are patient, that's sincere amongst ourselves in Kenya. So that's my position, Lydia, for now.
All right, thank you so much, Langat. Okay, do you have, actually just reading, they want our remittance, but they don't care about us. Somebody said that here we are seriously celebrating the fall. Somebody said, well said, Langat, but how do you address the winner takes it all presidency? Because that's the major problem. Okay, so those are just some things that I'm reading from people who are watching. I'll just ask John Kanyaru, if you have any question to ask our lawyer, Kakai.
Thank you very much. And Kakai lawyer, it's good I have followed what you have said. One, I will start by saying when we look at the BBI report, and I think I said last time, it has a lot which we say it is good. And as we look at the BBI report, you will realize people are looking at it holistically and selectively in terms of interest group. That's why you have women in Kenya giving their views based on their perspective of the document and how it will affect them, position them in better position to make a decision. When it comes to diaspora, we are cognizant of the importance of stable government, which we support, and creating a good investment vehicle for diaspora to come and invest in Kenya. But some of the key issues that arose after reading this BBI document is some of the issues that we had already suggested. Matters to do with how do you include diaspora in matters policy, in matters of representation. Because if you want this document or to encourage diasporians to have confidence, even within investment vehicles that are being engineered by the BBI, their representation at various levels, including policy, is key so that they don't start seeing the whole process as if it is geared towards getting the 280 billions that come every year. That is one area which needs to be addressed. And as I asked our lawyer last week, even as we discuss today, we don't know whether this document, as we speak now, it has been cast in iron, that there is no further amendment. Otherwise, we will just be having a kamukunji where we are just wasting our saliva, as someone has said, we used to say. We want to know, is there still room for what we suggested or we will suggest? The document is good, maybe to us 90%, but our clarion call is to say, where does it address about citizenship? I think it's chapter 6, which comes with the dual citizenship, which is given on one side. But when it comes to the diaspora participating in leadership, and quoting Mwenda Mwinzi, who was appointed by the president, and when it went for parliamentary approval, they quoted, I think, chapter 6, and they said he has dual citizen and he cannot assume the leadership position. That one left a bitter pill in the eyes of the diaspora, and it needs to be looked into. There are also issues of elective position, and I think according to the information, or rather the views we collected from the diaspora, the main issue they were saying, let's have, or rather let's recognize the diaspora as an interest group or special group, so that when it comes to appointment, or rather nomination of seat in legislature, that is in Senate and in Parliament, they can have a position so that we can always have someone who is giving the other side of those Kenyans who are abroad. The other one is policy level. One of the things they were proposing is at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, there could be another permanent secretary in charge of diaspora. Actually, whenever you speak diaspora, they find it as a mockery. When we are told in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, there is a diaspora desk. Probably it is a big one, I've never visited, but when you tell people who are bringing 280 billion that there is a desk, they just think it is just a small office. I don't know how big it is, but I'm saying probably if that desk narrative will continue, they better say there is a diaspora department That might give some degree of confidence. But what we would require, it is a diaspora ministry in charge of looking into matters diaspora, looking at the extra skills we have for our young people there, and helping them to come here. We trade with our skills. I'm not saying we take doctors away from Kenya, but there must be some skills which we have a department that is championing. And much of a problem we have seen with some of our diasporians is these young people who are going maybe in Saudi Arabia, and then we are told they have been misused. Some women has been raped. It cannot continue like this. It's because we have a desk, not a ministry, so that we can follow these kids. When a Kenyan go out, help with skills, this is some of the things like coffee that our country should be exporting, so that when they go there, they continue sending remittances which can stabilize and build our nation. And to come to an end, we support the issue of stability, because we cannot invest in a climate of instability. The issue of inclusivity, we want a country where everybody feels at home. The same way, from different tribes, from Kenya, we collaborate, we do businesses without thinking about the other. We work as a team, and that's what we would want our brothers and sisters back there. The final thing about the citizenship, it's not probably for people who are in this, who want to become an MCA tomorrow. What if one day, Lakan's son want to become an MCA in Kericho, and then the same rungu that hit Mwenza Minzi is utilized in the next 15 years. Those are some of the issues which are specific to us that we are very, very pertinent, and would want graciously Ruth and yourself probably to clarify. Maybe there are some commas, full stop, or colon that we are missing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you so much. But I have a question here for you. Someone actually, there's a question and a statement actually. Someone actually say you didn't expect BBI to address all issues presented when opinions were being collected. Okay, and then someone else asked, are you suggesting that a diaspora slot should be created in Parliament? I think that question is for you, John. Are you suggesting that a diaspora slot should be created in Parliament?
Actually, if I can repeat myself, I've just mentioned that a group that is being targeted for investment, it is only good if we recognize them as a special interest. The same way we have they call people with disability are recognized and are given nominated seats, women, youth. If we have diaspora recognized in the same category, out of all these nominated slots, then we can have a member of parliament in charge of advocating matters diaspora or raising their concern within the legislative area. When it comes to matter to do with policy, that's where they were suggesting a position within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs with a PS in charge of diaspora affairs. Because the issue of being told there is a desk, looks too minimal, as if it is the one person who sits behind that desk. And I don't know how you can handle 4 million diasporas who are abroad. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'll go to Kisinga. We'll come back to you, lawyer. But I'll go to Dennis to see if Dennis has anything to add or to take away. So Dennis.
Yeah, of course, I have a lot to take away, but that one is something which is going to be very personal. But I have some questions and also some comments to make concerning the speeches of both Moses Eric Langat and lawyer Kisinga. Every time I listen to conversations like this, I begin to understand how complex actually, because this is the only word I can use to explain the political situations. And and the law that govern our politics in our country. For me, it's clear now that lawyers want different things. Peasants want different things for themselves, and businessmen want their own things. We don't seem to want the same thing. For lawyer Kissinger, you being the person that you are, I think I'm not well suited to question your thinking. But to say, I would want something more on top of what you would want for your country. For instance, when it comes to governance, yes, I want good governance. I want investment. I want security for my investments back at home. And I want my country to be strong so that its international policies counts and we are respected wherever we are. And again, I want the issues of diaspora to be seen by the government and to be taken serious by the government. Yeah, in France, the deputy president came before COVID. The president came during COVID, and none of them even bothered to speak to us. So that's, I'm feeling there is a very big discord, and these people, they don't feel our presence despite the fact that we are giving this much of remittance to their country. When it comes to the document, actually, the document is actually making statements on issues that already have been solved by the private sector. Investment, things like that. There is KCB Bank, which is really doing a great work in helping us to invest back in the country, sending money back in the country. Those platforms exist already, and we don't need BBI for that. And on the question of the 2010 Constitution, like I said, maybe lawyers understand things differently the way we understand. I don't think it was a compromised constitution. We started from the Wako report. By the time we came that was a constitution that there was a committee of experts that worked on it. It took a very long time. We needed a constitution, and we needed a constitution even like 10 years before, and we didn't pass the first one, which was proposed, which was dubbed Wako report, and we improved it. And 2010 Constitution was a constitution actually that whose time was due, and it was not a compromised constitution. BBI is a compromised document that came around because of the handshake between the opposition leader and the president himself. To make a strong opposition, how does handshake and very good relationship with the opposition leader foster that environment where the opposition checks the government? Actually, handshake killed the opposition, and there is no opposition in Kenya as we talk. And on the strength of the judiciary and independence of the judiciary, I don't know how ombudsman will help on that. And ombudsman appointed by the president himself. And this government currently has a record of a lot of pending bills that have to pay for the citizens who won the case against them. The government have broken the law for very many times, but the same government is proposing these changes to the constitution. I think if the constitution, like I said before, I think constitution should be need-driven. And this one is a compromised constitution, not the 2010. It's a compromised proposal to change the constitution, not actually need-driven constitution. Judiciary will be strong, and there is no other judiciary in Africa that can stand and nullify the presidential elections. This judiciary, the current one, did that. That's how independent it is. And this document is taking back, is taking back where the judiciary was under the grip of the executive. And funding with this government is not even respecting. So for what you are saying, Moses, is true. I don't know if the other time you are the same person who said that you had participated in collection of the views to be incorporated into the BBI, and those views were not captured. And I was watching the TV a few days ago, and there is this guy, John Sei, one of the elders, retired general, who was in the committee, and he was also complaining of the same thing, that what we talked of is actually not the things. Most of the things that we talked of are not in the BBI, and there are things which are sneaked into the BBI that we didn't talk of. And one of those things that he said was the judiciary ombudsman, the expansion of the executive, and 70 more constituencies. And Naivasha retreat said actually there are no changes to be made into this constitution, and the constitution should move forward. And that takes back the blame to the people who actually wrote down the document itself. If the people who talked in the round table to propose these amendments to the constitution are complaining themselves, and you are here, Moses Hurik, you say that your propositions were not captured by the judiciary, for me, it's too much of a complaint. And the person who can answer that for us now is maybe Guy Kissinger.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dennis. Now I'll go to Weldon, because we really need to come back to Lawyer Kissinger because he has a lot to tell us. So Weldon, please.
Thank you very much, Lydia. I came in when our lawyer friend Kai Kissinger was talking, and I heard him talking about that BBI empowers and gives independence to the institutions. First of all, I want to say this. As diaspora, we recognize that
not to be present.
As diaspora, we need to recognize that, and we recognize and we realize that we need a stable and peaceful country so that we can invest, and also so that we can concentrate here knowing that our families are safe back home, and also with the possibility of going back home, because most of us would want to go home. And we need to have honest conversations today, especially when we talk about diaspora. We have crossed the seas and different to be able to say that we should not be talking about ethnicity or parties when it comes to national conversations that talks about reforming the constitution. It is really, for me, I have been going through BBI document, and I want to say first, it's really a complex document, especially for a normal Kenyan, who majority of the Kenyans would not really understand this document. If you need to have the 2010 constitution with you, and the document, which as for me, it took me a lot of time to understand it. So it is, first of all, it's complex. It is made in such a way that the Kenyans will need lawyers like Ruth and Kakai to translate. And if Ruth and Kakai are misleading us, then it's going to be really difficult. So the first thing I want to talk about independent institutions. Me, honestly, I want to talk about myself in 2007. I was part of the youth leaders in Rift Valley who were actually dealing with peace and conflict resolution back home. And I can tell you, with this BBI document, there's no way it's going to bring peace. I don't see anywhere where it's going to bring peace, a long-lasting peace in Rift Valley and other parts of Kenya. There's nowhere in this BBI document. Let's not lie to ourselves. Because right now, we are not, some people are saying we're at peace in Kenya. No, this is like ceasefire. It will take, in Rift Valley, it will, especially in the borders where I come from, it will take just kettle rustling or kettle raid to start all these things. And we need to talk because we are here as diaspora, and these things affect all of us. So the independence of institution, that is really a lie, because when you see the Kenya Police Service, their powers are being taken and given to the CS. In the document, it says that the CS will be chairing most of the Kenya Police Service powers. It will no longer be independent. It's supposed to be. So we need to focus, because these are some of the things. In 2007, I can tell you there's a time in Kericho, we lost 19 young people on gunshots in a day. okay? It has to be really serious. That is the state. Those are gunshots. And I can tell you for sure that if this thing in Kisumu, most of the people who died, those were the government gunshots, okay? So we need to give this independence to the institutions and separate the state from the government so that those people are coming to govern us knows there is a state that is very independent, okay? So we need to be honest to ourselves and know these things will come. And this time around, if it comes, it might be really challenging. So we need to understand that when we talk about independence of institutions, when you see IEBC, how can IEBC be decided by, the IEBC commission has been decided by Jubilee and ODM? That is like the president, who is the head of Jubilee, and Raila. Those are two people who will decide the commissioners, part of the commissioners in the IEBC. So it's not really giving the independence to the institutions. When you go to the Senate, when you see the Senate, they're taking all the powers, and you see the parliament now. I saw somewhere in where they say that they will have 70 nominated members of parliament. Honestly speaking, if you have 70 nominated members of parliament, it can, when it comes to voting or pushing something, that goes to the party's stand. Okay, you are not giving this parliament institutions independence. So we need to talk, and we need to be honest about ourselves and say, okay, these things, we should not take political sides here. Just because I'm a Kalenjin doesn't mean that I support Ruto's side, or just because just because someone else is a Luo should say, because Baba had said this, we should do it. No, we need to talk and agree and accept these things because it affects all of us. When you say judiciary, independence of judiciary, even now, the constitution that we have gives more powers to judiciary. And you can see the way the Chief Justice had a lot of problems. Yeah? He has a lot of problems with executive. Even if he annulled the elections, he had a lot of problems during all this time. So we need to give these institutions independence. My friend talked about dual citizenship that 2010 constitution gave us. That was a good thing, except that we have seen the challenges, like he mentioned about someone who was supposed to be appointed, and the parliament said, no, she's not a Kenyan, honestly speaking. And the constitution is so confusing that normally, because she didn't have a choice to be a dual citizen, maybe because of the parents or because of the family issues, she was supposed to be appointed as well. But this thing is supposed to be discussed now with the reforms that are coming. It gives us the conversation, and it's supposed to be discussed. Because even the issue of Miguna, some people were laughing, but this thing will come to us, you know. Tomorrow it might be you. Maybe you want to go, Moses Eric, you want to be a governor in Kericho, and I'm a CS of security. What will I do if I want to bring you? I will take you back to UK. Okay, that is one example. So we need to be. When I saw what Miguna went through, honestly, even if he had a dual citizenship, which he didn't have, because if he had dual citizenship, he should never have been allowed, according to the constitution, should never have been allowed to run for to be a governor in Nairobi. But you see what they did to him. So these things are injustices that we need to talk about, okay? Especially as diaspora. You see Miguna going through what he's going through, next time it's you, okay? So when we talk about IEBC, Kenya Police Service, the winner take all, honestly, if you have independent institutions, you don't need to be focused about winner take all. You take an example of Trump or take an example of Obama and McCain, for example. Okay, they get almost half, even the Trump now, because everyone is following Trump and Biden, who has won. fortunately for all of us. Trump and McCain, they are like almost 80 million and 60, almost half. But why is winner take all? What if Biden wins, Trump is going home and it's done, okay? But they believe in the institution, even if Trump is behaving like the Kenyan way that we have been used to. But those are institutions that you have to respect. When you have institutions that are independent, what is winner take all? If you lose, you lose and you go home, okay? But now the advantage is that they say, okay, we need to check the government. So I agree with having the opposition, the office of opposition leader and all this. But the prime minister and all these other positions, these are waste of, because we already have. They're just putting a lot of burden to Kenyans. Because when you talk about the prime minister position, they will create a position and put a lot of budget on it, okay? We were supposed to be bungusaring mzigo than adding. So what BBI is doing is adding actually. And we have a lot of burden. We have a lot of deni that we need to sort. So we need to be reducing all these positions if it was for me, okay? And take a lot of money. Even when they say they are going to take 50% of resources to the county, devolved governments, where is that money, okay? Where is that money coming from? Are they going to put a lot of taxes to Kenyans, or they are going to borrow a lot of money outside, okay? So we need to really talk and have serious conversations here. So, and Ruth should also, because I have been following what Ruth is doing countrywide, talking about youth and incentives. Those are things that can be done. Those are good incentives, you know, but those are things that you don't need to go to BBI to do it, okay? The president, this is the only president who enjoys the house with no opposition, and he can pass anything, okay? So honestly, I have been in frontline in youth and peace building and all these things during my time in Kenya, and I don't see why they should make it a big deal. They're just using this to bring in the serious issue. Okay, this is not part of BBI. So the youth should know that this is not their thing. If they really want to do something, they don't need to go through BBI, and you don't need a youth commission. Because when you talk about youth, once a year pesa a youth fund, how many youths are benefiting from it? Okay, let's be honest. It's even difficult for youth to access the youth fund. And you're talking about youth commission. The youth commission, what will it take to the grassroots? So we need to discuss and give an opportunity for BBI to be amended, okay? It's a good opportunity for us to discuss and make a better constitution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Weldon. You took the whole stage. Thank you very much, Weldon. You have a lot to say. Well done, really appreciate it. And people who are watching as well, I'll just request you to share. Please share. So, and just share in Kenyan forums, because we only know it's only us that know what we're talking about. So please, people on Facebook, share as well. And let a lot of Kenyans, especially diaspora, come here as well and give their views. Someone say, well, a diaspora post would be fantastic, but we need a diaspora umbrella body as well, not just a post. And such a post should not be under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Peace is disrupted when fraudulent elections are held. The 2010 Constitution is not respected with a runaway corruption, disregard for court orders, Miguna in brackets, and tribalism, nepotism. Why will they respect a new document? BBI seem to be power play with which politicians are fighting for positions. Following, and I'm getting more enlightened on this, independence of government institution is key. Introduction of oh God, this one is hard for me to read. Okay. There's a lot of noise here because there's
Lydia, I can read that for you. So that's from Honorable Omax Amudala. He's saying,
yes,
following
please.
This independence of government institutions is key. Introduction of judiciary ombudsman is like defilement of the judiciary, which is the law interpretation body. Issues of inclusivity is still a problem. The report needs some amendments before the referendum. Lest we do so, I see us going back to the dark ages.
Okay. All right. So just give, guys, please share. I'll give this opportunity to Ruth, and then we'll come back to our lawyer, Kakai.
Well, thank you so much, Lydia. Today I will play a very minimal role in this conversation, because I feel like a lot of what we are addressing, we had spoken about it last week, and I would actually just allow you to give the chance to Kakai to shed more light, that maybe he might explain certain things in a manner that will be clearer as opposed to how I did last week, and maybe we can be able to get consensus and a way forward. Then maybe later on, after he's done talking, I'll come back and respond to the question that Weldon had mentioned about the fact that there are certain issues that benefits for the young people within the BBI report that do not need, that did not necessarily need BBI for them to be executed and implemented. So just allow me to just give the chance to Kakai to address most of these issues, because I feel like I've been in this position before, and maybe I would also want to just listen to him and get a clearer view, him being my senior and having sat in the technical experts, body that was responsible for putting together the document.
Okay, thank you. Before we continue, I just want someone to clarify, and I would like John to clarify this. Somebody is saying just interest conversation, but please, can you define what diaspora means? So John, if you can just define that, and then we go to our lawyer, please.
According to my own understanding, I'm neither quoting Oxford Dictionary or any other. A diaspora is a citizen who has migrated for any economic reason, economic or social or any reason, out of their motherland into a foreign country. So when we talk about diaspora, someone who is next door neighbor in Kigali, in Dar es Salaam, in Juba, in the Middle East, or in Japan, or in UK or US, they are considered as diaspora. Mm-hmm. Because the word diaspora means being abroad for whatever reason. Even when Raila was, or Koigi was in exile, he was still a diasporian, but he had sought political refugee status.
Lydia, let me to add on top of that. I think the person who is asking the question knows very well that even if you were born in Kisumu and you have moved to Turkana, you're actually part of the diaspora. So I think it's just a terminology really that is used in this case and in our case to refer to the people who live outside Kenya. Otherwise, the best terminology would have been Kenyans residing abroad.
Okay, probably that's why. Okay, so someone say, this one is now bringing Uganda is also diaspora. Okay, yes, Uganda is also diaspora. Yes, is that it, Langat? Uganda is also diaspora?
Definitely Kenyan residing abroad, Kenyan residing outside the Kenyan borders. And in our context, we refer to them at the moment as diaspora, even though, of course, if you are born in Kisumu and you live in Turkana, you are also a diaspora person. But in this case, we're talking about Kenyans who reside outside Kenyan borders.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. I'm sure that I've clarified it to the person. Okay, before we go, please guys, share so that all Kenyans can come, especially diaspora Kenyans, can come and listen to this conversation and also give their views and their points. Now we'll go back to our lawyer Kakai. Please, lawyer Kakai. Unmute yourself, sir.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think there were quite a number of points, and I must say that it's a very vibrant discussion. And I was able to follow the discussions that were made by, the contribution that was made by Moses, then Kanyaru, Dennis from France, then finally Weldon. So for ease of reference, let me start with the last speaker, as I go backward. I think Weldon, but I don't see him anymore.
Sorry, Weldon is here, but sir, I'm so sorry to interrupt you because somebody keeps on writing here, where's the Zoom link? Just to let you know that Zoom link was only for the speakers. And so if you have anything that you want to share with us, please just write it and somebody from the panelists will respond to your question. Thank you very much, Thomas Arunga. Okay, thank you, sir.
I think I'll start with the Weldon, being the last speaker. But then there were 3 questions that cuts across what Weldon was asking, what Dennis spoke about, and what Moses also raised. So let me start with the Weldon. I appreciate the fact that you are being very honest and you are bringing out issues that affect you, especially from the Rift Valley and all this. The issue of investment, I think you said very clearly that, another speaker talked about issues of investment, that people in the diaspora, and I now know the definition of diaspora, and I agree with the definition by Moses, that you are thinking of coming back, so you need to invest back in your country because this is your home anyway. But when I began speaking, I talked about what are the benefits of BBI vis-a-vis the issues of investment, and one of them was BBI is trying to guarantee, BBI read together with the 2010 Constitution is trying to guarantee two critical things for the diaspora: 1, good governance, and 2, political stability. So with good governance and political stability, then you are assured in terms of investment and what you want to invest back home. I was just looking at the World Bank and the Central Bank Index, and I realized that diaspora people are bringing in about 280,000 billion in terms of foreign direct investment, what one can call foreign direct investment into the country. That means that you have a very big stake, a very big stake in terms of your recognition as people are bringing in money. But then the concern in BBI is that, do I have good governance to invest? Do I have political stability to invest? Now, when it comes to the issue that you raised about issues of peace, my take will be that issues, you talked about the fact that BBI is not guaranteeing peace. But my take will be that issues of peace has already been captured under the 2010 Constitution by the mere fact that there was the introduction of the NCIC, National Cohesion and Integration Commission, which is dealing with issues around peace. But also, Weldon, you need to understand that devolution itself, the aspect of devolution itself, devolving a country into 47 counties, is an aspect of peace being devolved, in the sense that each county or each county needs to know how to deal with those peace issues. So it's no longer going to the center, the national government, but those issues have to be dealt with. So as we discuss about are being dealt with also, you can now see, for example, that even the BBI is dealing so much with issues of security, and the governors are being given a central role in terms of managing security. So we need now to have this conversation of decentralizing some of these things, because devolution came in at that time, and to deal with it. Peace was elusive because of inclusivity. BBI is dealing with these issues of inclusivity clearly. The winner takes it all principle has been completely debunked, and you can now see inclusivity coming in. And the mere fact that you have every governor from each county probably representing a different community altogether, it's also part of inclusivity at the county level. So these are some of the things that we need to understand. Now, Weldon also raised the issue of IEBC, but I guess that Weldon got it wrong. When you look at the BBI report is trying to address IEBC, or that commission having been a problematic commission for most of our elections. And what BBI is saying, it's saying that 4 of the commissioners will definitely come from political parties. Why? It's because that Kenyans felt that politicians must be involved in the election, because politicians are taking part in the election. And therefore, you must have now members of political parties appointed by various political parties. Now, it's not clear at the moment how the 4 of them will be appointed. So it will be unfair to say that all of them will come from Jubilee, or some of them will come from ODM. There are many political parties. There will be a quota allocated, in my understanding, And therefore, it is not right to say that only Jubilee and ODM will bring in the 4 commissioners. There are other political parties who have political play. And this will be based on representation in parliament. That's my only thinking. You have to look at which political party has more MPs in parliament and the stakes are high. So that has to be clear. But also, well done, please remember that not only the four are going to come from political parties, but 3 more are going to come from members of the public. In the sense that even yourself, you can come from wherever you are and apply and become a commissioner at the IEBC, because there's a slot for 3 people to be appointed from professionals. So it's a kind of a hybrid. And this was adopted from the 1997 and the 2000 IPPG negotiation. You remember during Kivuito's time, in the 1997 election and 2002 election, some of the commissioners came from political parties. It's believed that the 1997 so far in Kenya was the best election process that came out to the proper results. But thereafter that, it has always been a problem. The Chebukati problem is a Hassan problem. So I think it's a good thing that it tries to address this problem, because contest is always about IEBC. So let's test it. Let's see whether it will work or it will not work. In issues of inclusivity, well done, you can see that Senate, you talked about Senate, you can see that Senate, we have currently 47 senators, but it's being expanded to 47 more to take care of the gender aspect of the electoral contest. So basically, wherever you come from, I don't know whether you come from Kericho County or where, you will have a female senator representing you and taking your issues at the Senate, and also trying to see that the devolved function of county government takes place. Now, I need to correct Weldon. Parliament is going to have 290 plus 70. This 70, Weldon, is not nominated. BBI is not proposing for any nomination at all. These 70 are going to be seats that will be contested for. Seats which will be contested from those constituencies that are seen to be overpopulated. So those constituencies that are seen to be overpopulated, for example, Ruiru will produce 2 members of parliament. So there's no nomination whatsoever. Actually, BBI has removed that issue of nomination. So it's not a question of nomination, but rather it's an issue of a contest. And the contest, because they're saying some constituencies are too wide. So you need to have more MPs representing them because of the population quota. Now, Weldon talks about an issue that I need to talk about, which actually was also talked about by Moses and by Dennis. And the issue is independence of the institutions. BBI and the 2010 Constitution is very clear about independence of the institutions. Most of the things that have been done have tried to retain independence of the institutions. Judiciary is an arm of government. Nobody wanted to touch issues of the judiciary. People left that institution, according to the BBI, completely free from touching the judiciary. What the only thing they introduced of all arms of government in the judiciary was the issue of ombudsman. And the idea of introducing the issue of ombudsman is that ombudsman is supposed to be listening to complaints from members of the public. If there's going to be an ombudsman listening to complaints from the public, that person must be independent, and remove that person from within the judiciary itself so that you make that office independent. The president is not going to be appointing. The president is merely going to nominate. Once the president nominates the person who is supposed to sit as an ombudsman, maybe there could be 3, they will subject that nomination to parliament for vetting. Once that person is vetted in parliament, then the parliament will say this person is fit to go through to work as an ombudsman. So that's an issue of checks and balances. Who is checking the executive? Who is checking the executive is that you can see judiciary is checking the executive. Who is checking the legislature? You can see that the legislature is being checked by the judiciary. But who is checking the judiciary? You enhance that by introducing that office of the ombudsman, but ensure by all means that you don't water down the gains or the independence of the judiciary. Having an office removed from the judiciary as an ombudsperson does not actually conflict or water down the gains of the 2010 Constitution. So the whole idea will be when the law is in place, because there will be a law establishing that office, that law must provide for proper checks and balances to ensure that that office is not compromised at all. So that is the whole idea of of judiciary ombudsman. So is it going to add value? Yes, it will add value because it will be removed from the judiciary. There'll be no conflict within the judiciary itself, but now someone independent will be now like working there, and that person nominee will also sit at the Judicial Service Commission because he's representing Kenyans, because Kenyans are the ones who are going to be complaining that my court file is lost, that a judge has been compromised, that a judge has refused to hear my case. He's going to report to that independent office. So that has to be, I think, clear on that. Now, the issue of dual citizen that Weldon also raised has been controversial. I wouldn't dig so much into Miguna case because Miguna case was not based on standards or legal standards. That was a political game. So it will be very difficult for me to go into it because that was purely a political battle that did not comply with any known principles or any known law. Because there were so many decisions that were made by the High Court, and none of those decisions were actually listened to. So that's the political contest, which I wouldn't want to deal very much into it. But legally, your Katiba gives you that right to have a dual citizenship, and I don't think that has been taken away. It still remains in your constitution, and it still remains a right that Kenyans have to have dual citizen and operate like that. The other aspect that you raised, which I think was also raised by Moses, was for the contest of the other lady. But I suspect that was unique in the sense that I think she was born in the US. And that brought in a lot of conflict in terms of the position she was now going to get. So that is the biggest challenge that arose from there. And I think her parents also were born in the US or something like that, but one had migrated. So there was a dynamic that the court dealt with that issue very well. So it doesn't fall that anybody living in the diaspora is removed or fails to get their rights under the article that deals with the dual citizenship. Winner take it all, as I finalize on Weldon, winner take it all has been completely addressed. And you came in when I had talked about it, and I said the mere fact that the president is sharing power with the prime minister and also sharing power with two deputy prime ministers, and the fact that there's an opposition checking, which is a good thing to have an opposition checking, then that becomes a compromise situation whereby now a president cannot say he took it all. He's sharing power. The mere fact that money is being devolved, you know, we are doing right now 15, now it's going to 15 to 35 to 65. The mere fact that money is moving from Nairobi and going to Mashinani, you realize that then the president has got no control over this. You look at how the office of the DPP, which I think one of you talked about, being professionalized, the office being given independence now to check other arms of government, which president will want to work under a powerful DPP. So some of these things, you realize that actually the aspect of winner takes it all has been completely diluted. If I was anybody willing to become a president, then I'll be saying, no, give me this power. So that's an issue that is very fundamental. Devolution itself took away a lot of powers from the presidency. Now I want to talk to Dennis. Dennis has raised some also critical issues that the country needs to give more credibility or more audience or more importance or impetus to the diaspora people. This is a very fundamental concern, and I totally agree with him. And when you look at the BBI report has actually mentioned the diaspora in two aspects. One, it's saying that diaspora people have the power and being encouraged in their recommendation to invest in Kenya, number one. Number two, the diaspora people are being given incentives to hold and to invest in Kenya. And we've agreed that the diaspora is already investing about 280 billion Kenya shillings, probably annually or whatever it is. Then we are saying in BBI that for you to do this, you need to have good governance, which BBI is guaranteeing, including the 2010 Constitution. For you to achieve this, you need to have a political stability through inclusivity, which BBI is giving. So some of these things are the incentives that actually are very sexy and attractive to the people living in the diaspora. Now, the office of the ombudsperson, I've already talked about it because it was also raised by Dennis, and I can assure you, Dennis, that I do not think as a lawyer that's watering down the independence of the judiciary. What I only caution as a lawyer is that the law that will establish that office of the ombudsperson must be very well checked by the drafters to ensure that although you will have an ombudsman removed from the judiciary, you must have that office with its own checks and balances and ensure there's no conflict between the ombudsman, the executive, and the judiciary, so that you don't have a person nominated by the executive, but then reporting to the executive. That is now the question of the law. But all over the world, in all jurisdictions, including the US, including in UK, you'll always understand that you'll have somebody where members of the public will go and report complaints in relation to the judicial system. Now, the question that also Dennis raised, I hope I still have some little time because I finished the other two people. The question that, that Dennis raised about say, I think it was a valid concern, but remember, constitutional making is also a political process. He made that allegation, but then immediately apologized and said, it is not true what I said. So going by just what he said himself, he said, okay, it was a mistake. He actually went on record and said he supports BBI. So I do not think that Say's concerns that were raised are any more valid at the moment. We shouldn't raise about it because he already apologized and he says he believes in the process. And he says BBI is a good document. And he said he will be supporting the BBI. So I do not know under what circumstance that appeared, but then I know Moses is itching. I just hold on, I'll come back to you. Now, the question that was raised by Moses and again Dennis was and Weldon was whether BBI as it is a final document. I do not speak for the two principals, but what I know for sure is that the moment they launched it in Bomas of Kenya, they have made some discussions to go to Naivasha and so forth and so on. There's a willingness to discuss that document because it's all about inclusivity. Two political parties are saying we do not want to have a contested referendum. We want to have a non-contested referendum. So maybe discussions will be done. Maybe there will be some changes here and there. Moses, I know you are itching to talk, but I'll come back later. So I do not know, and I cannot speak about it, but I just hope and pray that we as a country, BBI will bring us together in a cohesive way, as opposed to separating us apart. And we hope that these discussions that are ongoing at political level, at church level, at the citizenry level, then things will be settled at that point. Now I come to the last two speakers, that was Moses and Kanyaru. Moses, a constitution is a living document. A constitution can be amended. I think you are talking about being in UK, and in UK you are like you don't have a constitution, but in UK you just have standards and practices. But in Kenya we have a constitution which keeps changing. We've had quite a number of changes in terms of the constitution. So it's not static. If it doesn't work, change it. Democracy is expensive. You must subject democracy to changes. America itself, right now we are all talking about America, and one of you talked about America. How many amendments has a country gone through? They have gone through so many amendments. Yesterday I was listening to CNN and they're saying this electoral vote thing doesn't work for them anymore. It has been existing since the 18-something. It doesn't work for them. They want the popular vote. A man for each vote. So they might also introduce these changes somewhere. So there's nothing wrong with changing the constitution. There's nothing wrong saying that the 2010 constitution has not been fully implemented. Yes, it may have not been fully implemented, but these are works in process. It's a Kenyan constitution. They want to change it, they can change it as many times as they want, as long as they are changing the constitution in a progressive manner, a manner likely to say that we are making it better than it was. So there's no harm in that. And your other question was on ombudsperson, and I've answered it, and I think you are still having some issues. Now I come to Kanyaru. I think Kanyaru was elaborate in terms of what issues he raised and how the diaspora feel they are not included. Kanyaru, Mr. Kanyaru, we have 290 seats right now in the next general election in the National Assembly. I will wish that you come and start contesting. Enda Mashinani. I don't know what you said you come from Nakuru. I listened to you very well. Contest for Nakuru East or Nakuru West. It's open for you. No one is blocking you. Actually, people are encouraging diasporans to come. You've made a lot of money in the diaspora. Bring it. Enda Mashinani. Uliza kura. Utapewa. You have, again, 70 seats. up there for grabs. Maybe you come from a constituency that is overpopulated. No one is going to lock you from this. BBI is all about inclusivity. No more nominations. You can grab any of the seats of the 70. You come from a certain area, county, that it has a senator of a man. Seek that Senate seat, remove him from there. Inclusivity is actually there. And diaspora people, because you have a lot of money, you are encouraged to come back home and contest in these seats, be in the country and fight for the seats and fight for your rights because you belong to be in this country. And I can see Moses, I think you come from Wasingishu, you might be going for this seat. So another thing, governors, you have 47 governors and 47 deputy governors. Come and contest for these seats. So I do not think that anybody is being excluded from the 2010 constitution, neither is anybody being excluded from the BBI. Is it cast in stone? Is the room change? Is anything going to change? You're asking whether BBI is cast in stone or in iron. Actually use the word iron. I've just tried to answer it. I don't speak for the two principals, but my assumption will be that negotiations are going on. And I just hope that they will end up somewhere, because now people are talking with sobriety and understanding, because constitution making is not for two individuals. Constitution making is for Kenyans. It's for me, it's for you. So if it doesn't work for us, we must fix it. And if we have to fix it, we must all sit on the table, talk and agree and discuss about this. Diaspora, Kanyaru raises something which I had never heard of. And I think it's a very valid concern. But of course, we said we are discussing this and we have no answers to some of them, is that whether diaspora should be given a special seat in Bunge, or whether diaspora should be nominated to parliament and so forth and so on. And unfortunately, BBI is running away from nomination. Sasa wewe ni kupigana kura, maybe diaspora, you can form a league and support somebody from a certain constituency, but there are no nominations at all in the BBI. Nominations are now things that are all gone completely. But most important, that you guys have a forum, and this forum should be able to push so much on how you can actively involve yourself in matters governance and matters policy through Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I do not know how strong you are there. I heard someone talking about a desk and the purpose of moving that desk to a department. That is now something that is left for the group that are living in the diaspora. So basically, those are some of the things that I wanted to talk about. Those are some of the things that I'm reflecting on some of your concerns. And I don't think I've left out any other question, but I'll be glad to share any other inputs from the next round of questions if we have time. Thank you.
Wakili, I just wanted you to clarify something. And first of all, I want to debunk a narrative that the people in the diaspora have a lot of money. You are setting us against our people. They will now expect us to be sending a lot more money. Secondly, Wakili, I appreciate the fact that we need to get jobs for the lawyers. So we need to constantly be changing the constitution so that you and Ruth can be able to get something to do. But before I reach my point, I wanted to ask jokingly, really, that maybe Sei changed his version of the story because somebody threatened him. We don't know if he changed what he had said.
Duress, under duress.
Yes, we don't know. But of course, I want to remain on the constitution, on the BBI proposal. And I know you know the proposal very well. On page 63, where it's talking about the appointment of the prime minister, the individual who is going to be the prime minister is clearly set by the BBI proposal. That person is actually is a member of parliament, and that person is a leader of a political party that has majority, or a leader of a coalition that has a majority. So why then do you need the president to dismiss this person when it is very clear who this person is? Or are you trying to tell within that particular contradiction that the president should then use what we have seen at the moment, where we have seen people being, of course, I know there is political affairs, I will not interfere with that. But if assuming that the president is from ODM and the person who is having the majority leadership there comes from Amani political party, for example. So the president has no choice, because the BBI proposal clearly tells it that the person you are going to nominate to be the prime minister is that person who leads that political party that has more MPs. So why do you need the president to dismiss this person?
In terms of, I think that's one of the most contentious proposals I've heard from so many politicians and so many scholars and so many people who are saying that that's not a good thing. But Moses, assume you are a president. Will you want to work with somebody you can work with to push your agenda or not? Will you want to have control? Will you want to have control? Will you want to have control of that person you are working with? Because at the end of the day, as a president, you have your agenda to deliver, right? You have 5 years or 10 years, depending on how you perform the first year. Don't you want to have also some power to see whether you can dismiss him or not?
But now, Kakai, this is exactly what I was saying, that there's contradiction in the report itself, because you cannot be telling us here as Wajiku, Obotgures, and the rest of the people that the person who is going to be appointed as the prime minister, because the president has no other way to do other than to actually pick that person who is going to be the leader of a party that has the majority in parliament. So why do you want the president to change when it's very clear exactly what he's saying? These are some of the things that you and the rest of the people who are part of the technical team needs to go back and readdress and actually rephrase them. Because for me as a layman, I understand that there alone, there's contradiction. So, and this is, I understand what you mean, that the president needs to have the people you can work with. Now you are breaking inclusivity. Where is inclusivity here? Because inclusivity means, if like, let's go back to 2007, where ODM was actually having a bigger number of members of parliament, and NAC, was it PNU at the time, had a president who didn't have MPs. So that's a very clear example of where you want the president to be coming from a different political party and the prime minister to be coming from that party that has more MPs. And I think that's a classic example that the BBI is trying to address. So why do you want the president to dismiss this person? That I have not understood that, other than the fact that you're trying to make a monster of a president from the BBI proposals when you are trying to actually bring in inclusivity. So these are the nitty-gritties that we still need to go back and amend. I hope I will have time to come back. I know we only have 19 minutes, but if I don't, I will see you next week.
We'll carry on.
You come back.
Yeah, I have a question. Does it mean that once BBI goes through referendum, it will override 2010 constitution? Explain a bit. I think that question, Kakai, someone said, does it mean that once...
Lydia, he has not answered my question.
Okay, go on. Sir, Kakai? Oh, I think he's frozen. Hello, sir. Okay, he was frozen.
Maybe Ruth can answer. Maybe Ruth can take his place.
Yeah, Ruth, can you answer this question, please? Kakai, okay, he's coming back. Okay, he's back. Unmute yourself, sir. We can't hear you. Okay, thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I lost you guys, huh?
Yeah. So did you hear Langat's question?
I didn't hear his last part. If he can repeat.
Well, Kakaya was saying that that clause on appointment of the prime minister, which is meant to bring in inclusivity, is clearly indicating who the prime minister ought to be. And the prime minister, I gave an example of the 2007 elections, where we had ODM producing more members of parliament than PNU, which at the time had the president. So if we're going back to that time and we are implementing the BBI proposals, then it means that His Excellency Kibaki would appoint the leader of ODM, who happens to have been Raila Odinga, as the prime minister. So it's clear that that is what the BBI proposals are trying to bring it on board. And I believe if that is the case, then of course the president, as I said, wouldn't have any choice but to work with that particular leader, because he wouldn't be dismissing. How would he be dismissing when we also have the political parties doing their own things? So it's very clear. I hope you agree with me. And unless it means otherwise, then it means that this BBI proposal ought to be amended. You are muted.
We can't hear you.
I hear what you're saying. And as I said, in terms of answering your question, I say that discussions are still ongoing. Political parties and players in BBI discussions are still ongoing. So I think that at some point, that issue will be addressed. If maybe it's causing confusion, or if it may be going to be something like the president will have extra power to sack whoever they want to sack. But I think it's an issue that is ongoing. So I wouldn't commit now on that, but I know that concerns have been raised about it. But the whole idea of BBI was to ensure that as a leader, you want to work with people you want to work with. Even yourself, Moses, if you became the senator of Nandi, I think you come from Nandi, you will want to work with somebody you want to work with, or Nakuru. So that was the whole essence. As to whether now that will be looked into, I think that political processes are still ongoing. For example, governors who are meeting 2 days ago to discuss some of these issues with the Prime Minister. There's another meeting next week again with the Prime Minister. Churches are still discussing and debating. So some of these things will be somehow ironed out, because the whole idea is not to exclude anybody in the BBI, but to include everybody.
It gives us hope that we can get a diaspora commission or a diaspora
seat. Yeah, somebody. Yeah, Langat, are you satisfied with that question, or?
Yeah, yes, I think for the sake of the people who are listening to me, I wanted to just point out that there are some gray areas within the BBI proposals that definitely needs addressing. And Ruth and Takai being very, very close to the BBI making process will actually take such kind of things and point out to these people that, yes, we need to amend.
Okay. So a question from Vincent R. Joseph is, does it mean that once BBI goes through referendum, it will override 2010 constitution? Explain a bit.
No, BBI, actually, although that's a very good question that is coming from Vincent, the constitution is not going to be overridden by anything. The constitution of 2010 is the constitution of Kenya. It was passed by Kenyans 2010. It has been now in place for actually 10 years. What BBI is trying to do is to tie in the loose ends, because the constitution 2010 has been subjected to so many challenges, which is normal. Judiciary, for example, has made so many decisions that have touched on that constitution. The executive, parliament, there have been certain clauses or articles in that constitution that has been problematic. So what the BBI is doing is BBI is coming in to tie in the loose ends, to clarify some things, to make the 2010 constitution better. BBI is supplementing works in progress. So it's not going to override that constitution. There are just a few articles. Actually, if my memory serves me well, there are like 25 articles in the 2010 constitution that is going to be affected. Being affected means they will be rewritten. And once you rewrite them, because there's a constitutional bill that is coming in place, once you rewrite them, the other clauses that have not been affected will remain intact. So it's not overriding it, it's only amending it. Thank you.
Okay. And I don't know who this guy is, Thomas Arunga, I think probably looks like he's a lawyer or something. He said he's the one who wanted to join in, but he also has a comment here. David Langat, do you want to read that? Because I know you can see them as well. From Thomas Arunga. About devolution. Devolution has no change. You are muted, please.
Yeah, I was saying we can carry on with the debate while I try to retrieve. I have 58 comments and my computer here is not.
All right, the evolution has not changed the fact that the tribe of president and his vice are overrepresented in senior posts. Secondly, if the judiciary was independent, DJ Evolve, the short DJ, would have seen justice served. Do you just want to say something about that, Kakai, before we...
on the, I don't know what it means by devolution has not changed. I think the entire constitution, the entire BBI was really afraid to touch on matters devolution.
Kai, let me reread it so that you can answer it correctly. He's saying devolution has not changed the fact that the tribe of the president and his vice are overrepresented in senior positions. So, and
that's a very sensitive. That's a very sensitive topic to discuss about, because on what data, what information, what data, what statistics does he have to say that the tribe of the president and the prime minister or the deputy president is overrepresented? You know, you need to have data.
Kaka is very sincere. When you look at the cabinet secretaries, don't go far. We have a president who comes from the Kikuyu community. Count the number of cabinet secretaries in the cabinet. We have a deputy president who comes from the Kalenjin community. Count the number of cabinet secretaries. This guy is pretty spot on. So
how many for you? How many permanent secretaries coming from Rift Valley?
But you see, we're talking about 42 tribes in Kenya. We have 21 cabinet secretaries. Why don't we have 21 tribes?
Okay, brother, can we carry that? Can we carry that conversation? Can we carry that conversation?
Can I react? Because I think Kai Kissinger.
No, I actually had a question for you, John. I actually had a question for you.
Okay.
This particular one, right now that we're talking about, can we carry it on for next week? Because this one is not going to end now and we don't have time.
Yes,
I just wanted to ask, there's a question as well from Joshua. Will the diaspora be able to join the debates from the diaspora if elected as MPs? John.
Do you want to answer now?
Yeah, we need an answer now.
Okay. I thought you said next week. Will diaspora be able to join the debate?
Yeah, from the diaspora if elected as MPs.
Now, I think we need to put this one very clearly. When we say an individual or a person will be in parliament representing the diaspora, when that choice is being made, it might be a Kenyan who has lived in diaspora, who has understand the diaspora issues, who is back, and maybe, let's say, someone like the chairman, the president of KDA, Shemo Chuodo. He has stayed abroad. If he's there is some degree of acceptability that he understands matters to do with diaspora. So that person will not be joining the Kenyan parliament in no way through Zoom or any other way. So we expect those people to be domiciled in Kenya. Having answered that, can I proceed? Because I wanted to say some few things. Reaction from Kissinger's comments. One, thank you very much for inviting me to run for a political seat in Kenya as a member of diaspora, so that we avoid the probably what you call easy route of nominated. I don't know what this document says about disabled personalities, whether they are also being asked by the BBI to jump into the elective position if all disabled people in Kenya lose as disabled. They are only disadvantaged by the fact of being far away, although they are important.
I think that's a very good question, my brother.
Yeah. John, do you want to react before I proceed? Yeah.
Yes.
We don't really have much time, guys, so we have
to... let me finish. Maybe next week you will have something to say. The other issue that I want to put a clarification. I don't know how old you are, but in 1997, I was old enough. I was doing political science at the University of Nairobi. So matters to do with IPPG, where they were talking about members of the Electoral Commission coming from the political party, I actually was in some of the meetings in the Ufangamano next to University of Nairobi, where they were discussing this issue, thinking that out of the political parties participating in appointing what now we call IEBC commissioners, it will bring sanity or acceptability with the election. Actually, for your information, in that year, which you quoted wrongfully, that 1997 outcome of election were non-contested, Right Honorable Raila Odinga went to court and actually disputed those elections after His Excellency, former President Daniel Arap Moi won the election. And that's where the cooperation, which is akin to handshake, happened that year, because actually there was a acrimony because Raila did not accept. So actually what was birthed by IPPG and commissioners of election coming from the political party didn't give a solution, and I doubt it will in this particular one. These are questions that probably you might deal with. There is a question of divisiveness in Kenya. And let me say this. We have this commission headed by Kaparo, cohesion, I think a commission for cohesion and something.
National Cohesion and Integration Commission.
Exactly. First of all, before by virtue of saying we have divisiveness, that is actually giving that commission red card. It has not done anything, to my observation, because politicians are still inciting Kenyans, and no one of those who have incited Kenya has been indicted for their action. So either we need to enhance that commission or scrap it altogether. About the accountability, you know, county government, currently everybody is on the path of saying, let's send more money. That is fine. We want devolution to work. However, are we asking ourselves some question? Before we send those money, the little that we have been sending to the counties, there are cries of corruption in the counties where money has been proliferated in people's pocket. We have several governors or their juniors already being taken to court for those corruption. What are the safe net that we are putting now before even we send more money to the counties to avoid further proliferation, disappearance of that money in the counties, because we might be devolving corruption? The issue of winner takes it all. Even if we give president to appoint other position, I don't know, we have what we have, the prime minister and 2 deputies plan or whatever. The question I'm asking, and I need also an explanation about winner takes it all. Do you know the person who came up with, or rather a solution of not having winner takes it all, is Kofi Annan after the post-election violence, whereby he said, hang on, Kibaki will not take it all. Let's have Right Honorable taking half the government, and that's the opposition and the government. That is what we call, or any existing evidence of no winner takes it all. Whether the next president, I don't know who it will be, whether he's given 80 million positions, I tell you, those who lose will still think they have been shortchanged. And especially if the IEBC and other institutions are not working. Okay, why can't we have our own recipe of democracy? We say, if we are addressing the issue, a winner takes it all. Hang on. If a political party wins, and we have 24 cabinet positions, for the other group which has lost, to think that they have been inclusive, let's have a quota of the cabinet. It looks crazy, but it is crazy ideas which will change that nation, not copy and pasting from other democracy. Right now, the US, they are crying foul. When Nigeria sat down and divided the nation into two, and they said a president, where they come from the north, the vice president from the south, that is internal democracy. And I think that is where Kenya needs to sit down. We stop copying and pasting. We take a bitter pill and look at solutions that will bring us together to bring that nation into the development that we all aspire. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John. I would like Moses Langat, can you read the message from Benson Kimaru, please? And then I'll have Dennis, and then I'll just have everybody say their last words, and then we'll come back next week again, because we still have a lot of viewers, but we have to keep in time. Can you read Benson Kimaru, please? Because that is a very respected man here in the UK. He's actually a reverend and very respected. So like, yeah, go on.
I probably need to update my problem with this.
Maybe I can read it, I have it. Is it from Kimaru?
Yeah, Benson Kimaru.
This is what, is it possible for President Uhuru to engage a meeting for the three of them, including Ruto and Raila? The three could be the answers to peace as Kenya seeks the way forward. Raila became a headache after he was sworn in as people's president. Dr. Ruto is also a progressively a thorn in the flesh of the government. Somehow, he has been very slippery with allegations such as assassination, death of AP at DP's office, allies arrested and released by the court of law, withdrawal of government, local security, refusal to occupy an official residence in Mombasa, police harassing organized meeting, including tear gassing inside church and expelling DP from Jubilee, and the list goes on. The way things are now, one cannot tell if there will be peace in Kenya after 2022 election. But if BBI is first agreed by the three most top guys, Uhuru, Raila, and Ruto, then I may be convinced of peace after 2022 election. That is from a message from Benson Kimaru.
Okay, thank you very much for reading that. Okay, I'm sure our lawyer Kakai, you'll go back with all this, and we're coming back again next week, because like we said, this is not a one-day topic. We need to be heard. So we are going to scream, we're going to shout on top of the rooftops until somebody actually hears us, instead of just thinking of us as remittance, but think of us as people in diaspora, not just remittance. That's not what we want. Okay, so we're going to close now, but before I close, I'll let Dennis say his last thoughts. And please, guys, it's not 5 minutes, just 1 minute.
Okay,
if you say everything now, we don't have something to say next week. So be really just 1 minute.
These are the last thoughts. Are we clear on that?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember, I think it was 2012, 2013 over there. I met with a guy called Paul Mute. And Paul Mute was a civil rights defender. He was the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission by then, I think. And he was talking to me about the human rights in Kenya and how the 2010 constitution was actually way beyond its own time. And there was an element of allowing gay people to have access to medical care in Kenya, and to reduce the stigma that they were going through in their country. And it was surprising that there was a very strong opposition to that proposition in their country, that it was even thrown away. The reason why I'm saying this is that I think the Kenyan politicians have understood us. They take us into a hole, and we continue digging the hole for ourselves until we disappear inside it. I don't know why we are not even thinking of another possibility that we can think outside the BBI itself. BBI for me, like I said before, It came from the handshake of two gentlemen. And the propositions here in the BBI, they are not the things which are need driven. I don't see the urgency of BBI. We can always communicate and talk and see ways in which we can evolve our law so that we can continue, so that the politicians and government can give us the services that we really need, or to adapt also to the changing environment. The environment is changing. The Pope even declared that gay people can marry now. In the church, they can live together. So I don't see the urgency of this BBI report to be implemented into the law. I heard today when ex-CEO Jiloba, ex-CEO of IEBC, speaking of the cost that was to be involved in the BBI, and we don't seem to have that money. We have almost, I don't know how many billion, 198 billion to pay in terms of loans as a country. That's the amount of money is even greater than the money that we are giving to the constitution. I don't see the urgency of the BBI myself. And when lawyers sometimes say it is very clear, that's the moment I really get concentrated. But at the end of it is actually not clear. So for me, it's still not clear how this thing is. It's not a winner take it all. It's not clear to me how BBI is planning to bring inclusivity when there is another person who is actually the second most powerful person in the country who is being locked out, or maybe he's locking himself out. I don't want to say he's being locked out. And then when lawyers say also, it is very clear, I get lost. It's like, yeah, I try to concentrate and understand, but the issue of Miguna is still a member of the diaspora. And what went through, actually, we should not forgive that because it was against the law. The law ruled that he could stay in the country, he could travel to the country, but it was otherwise. As diaspora,
Dennis, I'll have to cut you short, Dennis. You've gone over your 1 minute.
Okay, sorry.
You have to put a full stop on whatever you're reading. We go next week. I'm sorry.
Okay, we can go next.
Thank you, Dennis. Okay. All right. Last words from Weldon, please. 1 minute.
Okay. Unless this document is going to be amended and given time, I think everyone should reject it, because it will spend, Kenyans will spend over 14 billion for this document that will take away the gains that had been witnessed from the 2010 constitution. Especially, I'm more concerned with the Kenya Police Council that is being formed and which will be chaired by the Cabinet Secretary of Internal Security. It will take us back to the times of General Ali. So I'm urging Kenyans today to ask themselves, because where I come from, I am more involved in peace and conflict resolution. And today, I was talking to some of the people back in my community. And for me, the objective is to have zero conflicts within the borders of Rift Valley and Nyanza. And BBI is not giving them anything. It's up to those people to work on their peace and stability. So when I say that this thing will not solve anything, I mean it from the people's perspective. So unless it's 14 billion, over 14 billion for nothing, it's just to reject it. I urge all Kenyans, and especially in diaspora, to wait. And if this thing is not being given time to be amended, please tell your families and everybody to reject it in total. I can say this again, let's reject it. It doesn't represent us in diaspora. It doesn't represent the people back home. Even the incentives that gives to the youth, those things can be done without BBI. So those are my final words. Given the opportunity to be amended, it can be good. If not, let's reject it. Thank you very, very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll go to Langat.
Thank you, Lydia. It has been a wonderful opportunity. My thoughts are very simple. I think the solution to the Kenyan problems were already seen by His Excellency, the President Uhuru Kenyatta. By firstly coming together with his deputy to run successfully and form the Jubilee government. He then realized that that wasn't enough to sort out the problems in the country, and he reached out to Raila Amolo Odinga. So it looks to me that the president has the magic button. He is almost there. I would ask him to keep away from the cartels around him who are ensuring that people wage war amongst themselves. And once he does that and he comes back, and as Benson Kimaru did say here in the UK, that them three are probably in a position simply because they are influential to their constituencies. And I believe that the president can put that last button and make sure that this is done. As far as us in the diaspora, the BBI proposals haven't quite solved all the problems that we have had. I will talk about what we had discussed with Dominic Chuma, an entrepreneur here in the UK who runs several businesses in Kenya. And we did agree that the ease of doing business in Kenya has not been addressed. And we were hoping that BBI could be able to help us do this. And also our thoughts on ensuring things like the medical bills are sorted out. I hear stories about COVID-19 is ravaging the UK and it's not touching Kenyans. And I tell them, it's clearly demonstrate that the health system in Kenya is not working. The people we have in Kenya are the healthy group. The people who are vulnerable, who ought to have been alive because of a working system, are long gone. They have died. So we have a very, very healthy nation. While in the UK, for example, we have a working NHS that a person with a heart problem will be sorted out and that person can live long. So these are some of the things that we need to look at very carefully. And we ask Kakai, Ruth, please come back to us, take more suggestions from us, go back and amend, and also use us to read that BBI proposal and give you the deficiencies like the one I pointed for the Prime Minister. So I look forward to meeting again next week to come up with more useful thoughts that can enrich and make sure that we have a successful country. Thank you, Lydia.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll go to John, please. 1 minute, please.
Thank you very much for the panelists and Lydia. I really enjoy this kind of honest discussion. One thing I would say to the panelists and to those who are online and the leadership that will be listening to this is that our nation will grow if we have divergent views. Having a contrary view from the BBI should not be seen as a dissident or someone who has some aggressiveness toward the system. I would say, let's have this debate. And I lived in this nation when this nation was deliberating to come out of the European Union. It was a heated debate, very controversial. It divided the government and both the opposition, but the will of the people dominated. And that's what actually they are looking forward to work to build this nation even to be greater. So the views that we are putting out there, we are putting a challenge and we are looking forward, even for those who will listen. I know there was a Naivasha meeting. Let that not be the last. Because if we can all agree, and I think, Kai Kissinger, your heartbeat away from the system that was drafting, because you mentioned so. Can we now appoint you in this group as the ambassador? We can send you the document that we send. Please, let them have the pulse into the diaspora heartbeat and see where we can contribute and not see us as only the instrument of delivering quick money to the economy, but where policies are being made. Nobody wants. And finally, one question that was asked by one of the contributors when we were collecting the views.
Sorry, John. John? John?
Just a quick.
It's not time to answer questions. It's just giving you last view and we're done.
Just a final statement that one person asked, what is so dangerous for someone with dual nationality to sit in a county assembly to debate policy, but they can be allowed to go to Kenyatta National Hospital if they have dual nationality to operate or to do heart surgery, which is more tricky. That's one question that was asked by one diasporian. Thank you very much. See you later.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, somebody just said, I only wish they could listen to the lawyer. So it's like a lot of people, this person is getting frustrated because people are not listening to the lawyer. I don't know if it's a lawyer's friend. And there is a tendency by people to miss the point of this debate. Okay, so that's one person, just for me closing. And the other one is from Thomas Arunga, actually, because his question wasn't answered. And Kakai, please, lawyer, if you can take this, the question that I asked about devolution has not changed. The fact that the tribe of the president and his vice president are overrepresented in senior posts. He really still wants that to be answered. So he said, I hope my question will be answered next week. So if you can come back with an answer for that, like you said that he needs to have statistics. So probably you will have those statistics and give it to us and tell us it's actually not, that's not the case. It's 10% of all the 47 counties that we have. Yeah. And somebody say, Kanyaru pewambili kwa jili, what? Pewambili kwa kiatalipa. Okay, so thank you very much, everybody. So we're going to have this discussion again next week. But people who are listening, I know we confused you last week when we said it's 6 p.m. London time. But because it's too late in Kenya, 6 p.m. time has changed in the UK. So it's going to be 9 p.m. in Kenya. So that's a little bit late. So we're going to have it 5 p.m. London time. So 5 p.m. London time. 7 p.m. Paris, France time is 7 p.m. in Europe. I think the whole of Europe, they share the same timeline. I don't know. Do you share the same timeline in Europe?
Actually, we don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay. But because the main panelists are from UK, Kenya, and France, we consider those three countries. So in the UK, it's 5 p.m. In France, it's 7 p.m. In Kenya, it's 8 p.m.
In France, it's 6 p.m.
Okay, sorry. So 5 p.m. in London, in France is 6 p.m. And then in Kenya is 8 p.m. Yeah, so in Kenya is 8, so it's not too late.
May you get someone from America?
Yes, we can. We can get someone from America, but that will now, so if we start doing that as well, somebody as well from Germany will come and say, why is not Germany represented and why is not Dubai represented? So if we start
I can withdraw my position for one weekend and become a follower because we really need to hear from all different aspects.
Okay,
so
that's fine.
If you get someone from America, I can give that slot and then I'll be listening by the sidelines.
Okay, that's fine. That is really fair. That is a leader. So like Kakai said, you should actually go to Kenya and get position. They will be behind you because that's a true leader. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. And we'll see you next weekend. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Lawyer Kakai, for coming. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Weldon. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you to Lydia with myself. And thank you, Fulangat. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Ruth as well.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Lydia. You would have waited for us to tell you. Thank you.
Oh, okay, go on.
And whoever is buying me too, I am ready and fresh.
Yeah, somebody's buying you too. He said, kwa jina yake.
You don't drink as a leader.
Says who? Who?
Says me.
Come on, that's not nice. As a leader, you must have a little. See, Weldon is drinking already.
Okay. So
thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you very much. Okay, bye everybody.